record.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes,
recording
right.
is in progress.
Yeah.
So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Diana. I'm 17 years old. I currently been lucky to be accepted as a worker and helper in one of our the best ecological organizations, Recycle Bergia. And today is our first podcast called Climate Podcast Kazakhstan with my dear friend and a person I appreciate and hope to be like her, Sarah Zik. You may introduce yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Sarah Dzik. I'm Master of Science. I've been working at the University of Warmia and Mazury in Olsztyn. It's in Poland, and I've been working there since 2018. I'm employed in the Department of Animal and Environmental Hygiene at the Faculty of Bioengineering. I am a PhD candidate and I hope to become a doctor in animal science soon. I've studied food production, bioengineering, and animal husbandry. Additionally, I'm also the equality advocate on my faculty because in our place, a lot of importance of making everyone to feel comfortable at the university. I have also 3 dogs and 2 cats. I like spending my spare time traveling, admiring nature and enjoying the beauty, not only in Poland, but in the whole world. I was in Kazakhstan last year. It was August and September 2021. I visited Kazakh National Agrarian Research University for a research teaching internship. I explored the Almaty region, which really captivated me, and I am really impressed how beautiful region is it, and how wonderful, open-minded, and wise people live there. And during my internship, I met a young, energetic, smart, and very inspiring woman, Diana, and she is the host of our meeting, and I'm really happy that I can be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you also conducted lectures, a series of lectures about animal welfare and how conscious is Poland and European Union about the agriculture and animal health. I've been lucky to to meet my dear friend Sarah, and therefore I accidentally worked as a translator in the university on this lecture. And exactly at that time when I was translating her lecture, I thought, oh, I should be on her place someday. So I decided to have PhD in environmental science too, and have lectures and conduct lectures to my students.
I'm
Yeah, that's
sure
it.
you will be at this place and maybe on the really higher place because you are really intelligent, smart, clever, and you
Oh,
have
thank you.
so much
I'm
power
shy.
in yourself. I remember when you visited me at the university, you were so, relaxed and you do everything very perfect. So I was, whoa, she's so young and she's so smart and open-minded. You and your family, you are really open-minded, and I'm really happy that I could meet you in Kazakhstan. It was really a great journey with you, and now I'm happy that I can be here with you and I can look at you and look what you do in our world.
Thank you. Thank you. That it was a miracle. Our meeting was a miracle because we met actually on the Aksai Lakes in our mountains. And firstly, my parents met you and they said, oh my God, there is a zoologist in there. And I thought, where? Where? I have to
Yeah,
meet her.
I remember I was sitting at the lake and I was relaxed, and your family started to talk to me. And I was relaxed, so I started to talk to them, of course. And then we started to talk to each other, you and me, and I was so impressed. And what is really wonderful for me, your English is really perfect. Yes,
I've tried
today.
it my best, you know.
Yes, you are really great. Today, my friend asked me about you as a host of our meeting, and I told her, look, I'm stressed because Diana English is really perfect, really great. So
Oh
I'm
my God.
stressed what
No,
she
it isn't
thinks
a lot.
about my English. So I'm trying to best, of course, but your English is really great. Yes,
But
and
yeah,
your Polish
I still
also.
have to work on grammar, but that's that I think I've been studying it as hell for 2 years. So, and there is a lot to grow. So,
Mhm. When
uh,
you were on the conference, international conference, what do you think about people from abroad, about their English? It was good?
well, yeah, but it was depending on the region they came from. For
Mhm.
example, I was impressed by African accent because it is so unique and so
Oh.
specific to their region. So they often speak with their lips and cheeks. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, but for example, Spanish people, Spanish is very colorful and moving language, so they
yeah.
speak English with so much effort. I've met girls from Poland, and they spoke exactly like you, so I'm not surprised. They were like presenting some workshop, ecological workshop there, and I was, oh, Poland, I have a friend there. So, but American accent was how to say the most understandable for me because everything I learned was from American accent. But
Okay.
I think the most surprising, of course, it's an Indian and
Mhm.
African. They're the most specific to their regions. And you, I think Poland is really close to Russian accent because you also
Yes.
pronounce some vowels and yeah, like Russian people do.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's true. It's true. I agree because we are very similar, and our past is very close. So maybe it's
Yeah.
all because our accent is similar.
So I think we may begin with questions.
Okay.
And my first one would be, it's gonna be about professional experience.
Mhm.
So please tell us your story. How did your journey start? And what was the main motivation that led you to where you are today?
You know, when I was a child, I really like to explore something. And my sister is 2 years older than me. And when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, she was 5 or 6, and she started to read books. So when she read books, I read the books with her. When she started to write, I was reading with her. So it made me like a small scientist. And then after my matura exam, I went to university and studied food production bioengineering. And I chose this course because it is important for me. You know, I'm a consumer and I want to eat product with a good quality. Then I studied animal husbandry and focused on developing the quality of animal products. After my master's degree, I started my doctoral studies and became a PhD candidate. My supervisor, he taught me about environmental protection. He
Mhm.
inspired me to study further. He's really perfect and really great and kind, and he's a good teacher. He likes to teach students, and he does it really well. So by watching him, I could learn how to work with students.
Mhm.
And it's a quite funny story because when I was a child and when in school, teacher asked us what we would do in our future, I always say, I would like to be a professor. Everyone laughed at me because I came from a very small town, far away from cities with universities. And there wasn't anyone in my family who was interested in science or who wanted to be in science. So it was quite hard. But now, for me, the main motivation, my job is my main motivation.
Oh, I see.
So I like my job because it's my motivation to go there every day. So you look, we have Sunday, I'm at work and I'm happy because I like this place. So my job is my main motivation.
I see. So, because everybody from my side, when I say like, oh, I want to be an educator or either a professor, they always say, that's a lot of paperwork. That's boring. But how do you cope with the feeling sometimes? Because what's the perception of educational profession is that, oh, you have to do a lot of paperwork. You have to always sit in the office and just scroll up the science research papers. But for many people, it seems boring. But how do you see your work? Why do you like it?
Yes, for me, it's not boring. If you have one problem in your work, you are trying to do everything to solve this problem. So
Problem-solving process.
Yes, so it's quite exciting. Of course, we have so many papers. We need to do many things which I don't like, but it's not bad. If you meet students, they always can inspire you. My colleagues from my department, they always make me happy every day. So if you have a good team and you like your job, it's not boring.
I see. So the next, what are some of the challenges you faced when you first started, and what advice can you give to young people that are in the very beginning of their way to become a PhD and a professor, and how have you solved them?
Look, in our job, of course, we can have many difficulties. When I was at the study, I was working at the same time. I hadn't enough time to relax or spend time with my friends. So it was quite sad for me, but then I started my doctoral study, I started my research, teaching students, and started applying for grants and so on. So now I don't know when that time flies. I mean, in Poland, we say the lucky ones don't count the time. So in my case, I don't know when I did everything, but look, I met a perfect supervisor. He made me motivate, and I tried to be better, and I tried to do everything what he wanted, because I knew that he wanted to me everything what is the best. I'm trying to do everything to make him happy and happy myself. And can you repeat the next part of question?
So what was you talked about the complications, and yeah, I agree with you. I am subscribed in the Instagram to many PhD, how to say, like PhD applicants and PhD doers, and they always say you have to meet a good supervisor. So, for example, young people that are in the very beginning of their bachelor degree or already in the master's doing environmental science degree, how do you formulate the persona of the supervisor? How can you find the best? How did you find yours?
Okay, look, during my study, I was observing all teachers, and with my supervisor, I had lectures. He taught us about environmental protection, and after every classes, after every lectures, we wanted to talk to them, and we had many questions to him, and he was really open. So it was easy for me to choose him because he liked the same part of the research as I like, and he was very open-minded and talkative, so it was easy for me. So when you are on your study, you should observe all teachers and read about them in the internet. For example, on a research guide or ORCED, there is many articles which people from science write. So you can check what they like and what are the tasks. So it can be helpful for you.
I see. That's really good advice for me. I'll do that definitely.
Yes, you should check it, and what is important, you should check also if your future supervisor have any applying for grants. It is really important because every grants meaning good money and good research. So it is really good idea for you, because if your supervisor applies for grants, it could be better for you in the future. And you can check it on the internet also, or maybe on the internet. For example, my faculty have internet. So
Web
page
page.
internet. Yes, so you can check on this your supervisor, so your future supervisor, and check if he has any grants.
I see. I see. That's, yeah, I think the young people are going to be interested in that too.
Yes,
So,
and sorry, but I would like to say something. If you meet your supervisor, you should feel energetic connect between us, between you and your supervisor, because it is really good to have the same ideas in your minds. Because if you like, for example, environmental protection, and your supervisor prefer, for example, genetics, you can miss. So you should try in your ideas and your topics.
I see. So, and what was, going to the next question, what was the most convoluted professional case you solved, and what lessons have you learned from it?
You know, it's quite complicated in research. If you would like to publish a scientific article, and then you need to be ready for discussions with the reviewers. And unfortunately, reviewers sometimes are quite confusing. So, you know, you try, you do your research, you do your experiments, you put a lot of work and heart into your experiments, and then a reviewer doesn't like your research, or, for example, a reviewer can think that your experiments need to be repeated, and so on, and he or she can reject your article. It can be upsetting and quite sad. But at such moments, you shouldn't give up, and you need to keep trying and send your article again, for example, to the next journal. On the other hand, in my work as a lecturer, I had a story. I divided students into small groups of 3 or 4 people. Each group had to do some specific tasks. The students had to work in these groups almost until the end of our term. And one group approached me. They were figures who didn't like to each other, and they didn't want to work together. So I was surprised, and I wanted to try explain to them that we don't always have to like to each other, but the most important thing is respect to each other. Of course, I suggested to them to let each other to get better. You know, sometimes we don't know someone, and we often judge by, for example, appearance. And if we give the chance other people, other person, we can meet them, and we can think that this person is better. And in this case, it was exactly this situation. Look, after the end of the term, these students visited me, and they told me that I was right, and they got to them a chance, and they liked to each other. They took my advice, and now they are going to plan a summer internship together in the same company because they want to spend their holidays together. So this job is quite surprising.
I see. So yeah, you even if you don't like each other, sometimes you have to give other person a chance. I
Yes,
see.
and in this research part of job, you should remember, don't give up, because for example, if you missed your experience or your reviewers will be, for example, quite confusing for you, remember, don't give up, and try to do it again and once again and again and again. So don't give up. Sometimes you should be very strange and brave to do the research, but it's of course good for you.
I see. So going from professional parts, there are a few questions about, that's a climate podcast, and I would like to hear from you as a scientist. What do you do in everyday life to save the planet's resources and reduce your impact on nature that everybody can follow?
You know, in our life, you should do small steps. It is really important, because I think that every small steps will be a big steps in the future. So it depends on the person. What do you do in your daily life? For me, it was a very big time, because I changed my car on electro car, which is more ecological. So it was good for me, and I was really happy, because you know, I could spend my money on something else. I could buy something, but I wanted to do something good for our world, and wanted to be more eco-friendly, because it makes me very optimistic. Of course, segregation of rubbish. It's the main idea and the main topic to our daily life. For example, when I was younger, I wanted to have everything, you know, everything, and so many food, so many clothes, and so on and so on. But now I'm more aware, and when I'm bored because of my clothes, I will give them a second life. So I don't like wasting. I don't like produce waste. So I'm trying to do more things to, you know, for example, I bought some dress 1 year ago, and now it doesn't fit me because, for example, I don't like that color, so I don't throw away it, but I give, for
Give
example,
it to
my
charity,
sister.
yeah.
Yes. Is
You
enough for
try
the
not
question?
to overconsume the things. Yeah, that's great. Because the overconsumption now, that's a major thing in the population. Because with changing fashion, with
Yeah.
like a lot of choice, we are overconsuming things. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool what you do. That's
Yeah,
really
and you know,
conscious.
I of course, I'm trying to be more eco. And for example, I also drink tap water. In my city, Olsztyn, water from tap is a good quality, and it's recommended to drink. So I'm trying to do it because in this way, I don't want to buy water from shop in plastic bottles. So it's really good, and I'm trying not to waste food. For example, if I have old bananas in my fridge, I'm not sad. That's okay. I don't worry about it because I know I can make banana pancakes, for example.
Yeah.
So if I have dry bread, I make breadcrumbs and so on. I'm following many accounts, for example, on Instagram, where you have some recommendation or instruction what you can do when you have, for example, old bread. I don't smoke. I'm not addicted to any substances, and I think it is also very important, especially if you smoke a cigarette and so on. It is dangerous for you, for yourself, and of course for environment. But generally, I think that every small steps by every person make a big steps in our world if we do it together.
Yeah, little by little gives a lot. Gives a
Yes,
lot.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also heard that your university, I think that's going to be, you can give a great advice to our universities how to be eco-friendly as yours. So what is so special about your university, and how is it going to be greener?
I'm very happy because the University of Warmia and Mazury in Olsztyn is really great in this way. For several years, our university has been implementing the Green University program. This university program aims to protect the environment. And our rector set up a green team. This green team is a special team which developing a program to implement development goals at the university. So they trying to, for example, if you don't want how to segregate your rubbish, you can go to a green team and ask them about it. In this green team, there is many researchers, scientists, but there are also people who are really open, so they can help you in every way. We also have the zero waste concept, and the zero waste concept means nothing can be wasted.
Mhm.
So we are going to try use again everything what we can. We try to produce as little waste as it is possible because we don't want to produce pollute to environment. And it's also approach to creating a closed loop economy where you use resources instead of generating waste. And living according to zero waste concept, we have 5 rules. Refuse, reduce, reuse,
Yeah.
recycle, and compost. And
Mhm.
it is repeat all the time. So it's really great. And what is important, our university do some special thing. I mean, many buildings have been upgraded to emit greenhouse gases and reduce energy consumption. What's more, we have a really big park on our campus, and there is a lake really close, so we can go there and be really close to nature and explore the nature, explore the lake. So I think it's really good for eco-friendly university, and I know that our university got many gifts and many prizes because of green program.
I see. So how's your university tries to be zero waste? How is it reducing the greenhouse gases, as you said? What are the wastes? Are you keeping up with solar batteries, or what do you do?
Yes, and they used many alternative sources of energy, and what is important, we had many old buildings. So our rector started to upgrade this building. It was renovated to emit greenhouse. Our sources of energy was also changed. And what is important, compost. We have many bio rubbish, and we can take our bio rubbish and go to energy places, and we can left it there, and it can be using like energy in the future. I don't know
So
if I...
Poland also practices the technique how to extract energy from compost. I've never knew
Yes,
that.
something like
Wow.
biogases. Yeah, biogases.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
see. That's cool. Never thought
Yes,
that Poland does that. We have to
yeah.
bring an example here. So moving to the next part, that's a personal opinion part.
Mhm.
And the first question would be, how do you see youth in the climate field today as a scientist?
Diana, I'm completely impressed. Today's young people are really open-minded. They are really well-read and aware of the changes that are taking place. You know, when I was younger, I wasn't like you. I mean, you are a really good example, like young people can change the world. My students sometimes suggest me various ecological solutions in everyday life. They show me, for example, virus helpful application that make it easier to be eco-friendly. So I was really happy that technology is really open for be eco-friendly, because you can download application and, for example, check how you can be more eco-friendly. So it makes me very optimistic, because young people trying to do everything to change our environment for a better way. So for me, it's really optimistic, and I'm so happy and really completely impressed that young people are so open, and that they know about climate change in our world.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes, yes. Look, I had in last term, I had lecture students, and they told me, "Hey, why don't you download application about how to be eco-friendly more?" So I was surprised. What is there any application about it? So yes, it was for me really great and surprised. I was surprised. And of course, I'm trying to teach from them, learn from them, because you know I'm not so open for new technologies because I'm using my phone to call or messages and so on. But when they told me about that kind of application, I download it, and I also have the application that show me if the air in my city is clean or pollution. So it's always a good idea because I can, for example, I would like to go for a walk. So I take my phone and I check this application, and I see that our air is pollution, is really polluted today. So I think, okay, I'm not going to for a walk because I would like to breathe a fresh air. So I would like to go for a walk, for example, the next day. So it's a good idea, and where the air is bad, I always close my windows. So it is good for our health also.
Yeah, I've heard about this application, but I don't think it is implemented in my area. But that's going to be great. And I hope some young IT students would do that too. Because we have an
Yeah.
account like saying, oh, today the air pollution is worse than ever. And please don't go out. But we don't have such an open source of info about climate and air quality. I see
Yeah,
that.
so
That's awesome.
I'm sure that in the future this application will be also in your country, in your region, because I think it depends on technology, of course, because in my city there is so many points. I don't know how to explain, but there's a point which analyzes the air, and then you can show the results that the air is great or not.
I see. We also have that in our city, but I don't think, first of all, they are in a high, they are not popular, so you don't find it usually in the internet. And secondly, I don't think that people are interested so much. Some of the climate activists here are go to the strikes and try to show their opinion on the bad air quality, but some of them, some of the citizens in my country aren't that informed about how air quality can cause the allergies or asthma.
Okay. So I think that this application in your region should be just improved. So maybe it will be soon do.
I see. Yeah, I think we have to work on it with our IT students from universities here.
Yeah.
So my next question would be, what do you think about environmental conferences that are conducted globally? Are they efficient in solving crises, and what would you change to make them better?
You know, Diana, I think that every conferences are always a good solution. Conferences provide an opportunity for a group of people to meet in one place and discuss a given topic. It generates new ideas, sparks new action, and can be so motivated. People can inspire to each other, exchange their point of view, create something new, different new ideas to solve a problem. So I recommend conferences and national and international with all my heart, because I think it is always a good idea and could change it could change our world because of conferences. The conferences is a place where many people meet and they discuss, they exchange their experience. So it's really a great idea for me. So I recommend it. Yeah.
Because I know people and I've met them in Glasgow this year, which were saying that, why do we need these conferences? Everybody talks, but nobody does something after. But in my opinion, of course, we cannot do exactly what is said in the conference, like tomorrow or after tomorrow. But I think when I experienced it myself, when I met with so many moved and motivated people that are very smart and very, how to say, they are very excited about the idea and the environment. I think that's great. And in your home country, you can do it by yourself. Like connect with, I remember, for example, some Josh, which was in this conference. I think we can conduct something together. So yeah, I agree on that
look,
with you.
if you go for a conference, it is good experience, because look, you from Kazakhstan, you went to Glasgow. So it was a great journey, because it was a long trip for you.
Yeah.
So even if you got some experience in your research, but we have the second page on this action. You can buy a ticket, you can go there, you can, you are in a new place, so you need to know what you should do. So conferences always are a good idea, and people when say that they don't agree with it, probably they maybe then don't feel the climate of conferences. I don't know, atmosphere of conferences. I don't know.
I see. So the next, I think that's gonna be from your professional point of view. What can you suggest for youngsters entering the field of environmental and agricultural sciences? From where to start to be as successful and experienced as you?
Thank you. I believe that first of all, you have to believe in yourself and your values, and be persistent in it. I know that in a scientific and didactic career, you have to choose a supervisor, as I told you, who has similar interests and is also a good person for you. You also have to be open to other ideas and other people. Sometimes our idea may seem to be a good for us, and we can think that our solution is perfect, but after discussion with other people, we may change our point of view. It seems to be very individual thing, I guess. The most important is to do what you like, to do what you feel, because it always brings success sooner or later, even if you are a scientist or whoever you want to be. If you do what you like, it always brings a success.
I see. That's cool.
Yeah, so you should. I know many people who chose, for example, a bad course on the study. For example, they wanted to be, for example, a builder in the future, and now they would like to be, for example, a doctor or veterinarian. So sometimes you can make mistakes, and I think that every person should allow to yourself to make mistakes, because if you make mistakes, it's not so bad for you, because if you make mistake, you can learn something. So don't give up and do what you like, what you feel, and it will be good for you, even if you are a scientist or whatever you want to be, whoever you want to be.
I see. That's great. Thank you. Moving to the next. I know you work and you do research in agriculture sector. What is your opinion on people turning vegan to lessen carbon footprint? Wouldn't that have the opposite effect? I'm looking for a professional opinion, because I know this point is very opinionated and it's split to the two parts. So I mean more exploitation of wildlands of agriculture purposes. So how do you see the world if more and more people turning vegan, and, for example, more steps in Kazakhstan or the land in Poland is exploited to grow more and more vegetables and crops?
Look, I think that we cannot just focus on one industry and say that this one is the worst. And for example, we shouldn't eat meat because this industry, animal production, is really bad. I don't like when people say like that. Of course, what you say, it may be so. So I agree with you. It can be opposite. If you would like to reduce animal production, it can be opposite for ourselves. If you want to be a vegetarian or vegan, for me, it's okay. I have no problem with that. I accept it and I respect it, of course. However, I don't understand why people who don't eat animal products fight against or attack people who eat meat. I know many people who are vegetarian or vegan because they are concerned about the environment. And of course, their concerns are justified. They have many arguments for that, and I enjoy talking to them. And it is, of course, good because they are open-minded. They don't attack people who eat meat. What I don't like are people who make often hurtful statements about animal production. Look, animal husbandry, animal production is a very demanding job. And people who have never been on farm talk about animal production. It's quite creepy for me, I will be honest, because if you would like to say something about animal production, animal husbandry, okay, go for a farm, spend there, sometimes work there, and then tell me again what you think about animal production, because it is a big problem that people who have never been on farm talk about animal production. If you don't want to eat meat, don't do it. Okay, but don't criticize people who do it. Let everyone to decide for themselves and have the right to choose. Most of my friends eat meat, but at the same time, they are very organic. They take a number of the other measures to stop global warming, and this problem has to be looked very globally, because as I said at the beginning, I don't like when people just focused on one industry and say, yes, it is the worst, animal production is the worst because of global warming. It's not true, because we have many other sources who damage our environment. And what is important, in animal production, we are trying to do everything to help environment. For example, if you like build your farm. For example, Diana, you come to Poland and you have your dream. You would like to have a big farm. For example, poultry production. And you would like to build your farm. And if you do it in our country, you need to do something for nature, something for environment. And
To
for example,
compensate my.
yes, exactly. You build your farm and then you can, for example,
Plant a tree.
many trees. Yeah, exactly.
I
So
see.
your problem, which you said, is really big, and we need to look at this problem globally, because focus on just one industry is really bad.
Yeah, my idea about this question came when I remembered how we were fed in the conference. For example, when we went there for breakfast, we had a choice. Like, we can be vegan, like some croissant with vegan butter, but we also could have some croissant with bacon. But all others, for example, lunch and dinner, we always had like vegan meals. And as for me, I'm a big meat lover. Like, I'm confessing right now. I really love to eat meat. And I know how much carbon does the poultry production produce. But in my opinion, I completely, that's opinion agrees with yours. When you over push these, your policies like to be vegan to people who actually like meat and enjoy everything connected to it, from like chicken to pig's meat, that's something I wouldn't recommend to future generations to do.
Yeah.
Because I was, as a meat lover, I was always hungry because I was always looking for some source of protein, because for me some cutlet made of Nordic wasn't enough.
Yeah, so you should have a choice, because I know you, and I know that, okay, you eat meat, that's okay. But I know that you do so many things to protect our environment. Okay, you eat meat, but you do so many other things to help our environment. And it's great because, some people say that people who eat meat are bad because of global warming. I don't agree with that, because if you eat meat and do something else for our environment, it's a good idea. I know people who don't eat meat, and they do just eat. They don't meat and they think they are fine with environment. So I always ask them, what about segregation of rubbish? What about biogases and so on and so on? And they said, "Oh, no, I'm not going to eat meat, and it's okay. It's all what I can for our environment." So I don't like when people say like that, because it's a global problem, and if you do something for your environment and you eat meat, for me it's really okay. I also eat meat, so and I'm trying to do anything to protect our environment like you, Diana. So I think we are good with that, because okay, we are eating meat, but we are doing something else for our environment.
So many things, to cover, like, how to say, cover my back.
Yeah, and in my
eating meat.
country, it is, it's traditional to eat meat, but I understand people who don't eat meat. When I was younger, I wanted to be eco, and I avoid the meat. And after 2 years, I was, very weak. My skin was white. I felt very bad. And then I started to eat meat again, and it was everything fine with my health. So, you know, meat, it is a good sources of protein, fat, and so on.
And
And
essential amino acids that the
yeah,
crops and veggies cannot provide. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And when you avoid meat, you should add something more to your diet to full the lack of meat in your organism. So it is a good way for vegetarian or vegan because they need to have a really balanced diet to fill the empty place where it should be meat. So it's I think it's hard for them.
I see. I see. Yeah, I completely agree with you because I've read a few research articles about the meat consumption and veganism and how does a vegan diet lacks of essential proteins and amino acids that are in any meat, source of meat, like from pork to from pork to chicken. I see.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move
Sorry,
to.
I would like to say something more. My students, I have more so many students that avoid meat. And look, they went to dietetics and they wanted to find a good solution to their health because they knew that if they started to, when they finish to eat meat, they can be, for example, ill or something else. So they are open-minded and they know if you start avoid meat, you should do something more for your health and, for example, go to the doctor and ask for a good diet for you, but without meat. So if you do it and you are open-minded, it can be good for your health, but you should do it with the help of doctor.
Yeah, that's right. I see your point. So I think now we can move to the next part. It's completely different. It's about your research. I read your articles on ResearchGate, and I found them really exciting. Like, and because of I've read your articles, I also had to watch and read a few books and watch a few documentaries about the antibiotics because I've never thought that would be they were that problem in environmental field. I always thought they are the problem of a healthcare and the medicine on people's medicine, but I've never thought that they are leaking to the environment and can harm animals too. So the first question would be exactly about that. In one of your research publications, that was your first from 2015, I think, you stated that universal access to antimicrobial therapy and its overuse can create an issue of previously susceptible bacteria and now presenting antibiotic resistance. I think it is nowadays called like a superbug, this like antibiotic resistant microorganisms. Therefore, environmentally friendly alternative should be found. So can you please evaluate to our auditory how are antibiotics damaging to nature and what are these alternatives?
You know, this topic is really significant for me. Many years ago, I went to a doctor because I have an infection in my stomach. So the doctor got me one of antibiotics. I went home, I took these antibiotics, but after 2 days, I felt I didn't feel better. So I came back, doctor. She got me another antibiotics and told me, go went home. Okay. I did it and I started to take another antibiotic. but I didn't feel better again. So I was really surprised and came back to the doctor again. And after that, she asked me about a test for antibiotics. So it was new for me, and I went to a hospital and they checked what I have a pathogen in my stomach and which antibiotics can reduce this pathogen in my stomach. And it was terrifying to me, because just one antibiotics was able to kill the bacteria from my stomach. So I was surprised, because in our world we have so many antibiotics, but because of many factors, bacteria and yeast and molds can be resistance or antibiotics, and it's a really big problem. In our stomach, we have about 100 trillion bacteria of various strains or genus, and it when we are healthy, in our stomach it is in natural balance. But when we have infections, antibiotics are really helpful, especially when this infection is serious, because the antibiotics can damage pathogens from our stomach, but also can damage many good bacteria. So many people, especially children, are sensitive to unwelcome side effects of antibiotics, including lasting change to their good flora. That's why it's so important to take antibiotics according to recommendation and instructions by our doctors. And we need to remember to watch our diet and take probiotics when we have antibiotic therapy. Some antibiotics are now less useful than were in the past. It's all because antibiotic resistance. Antibiotic resistance occurs when bacteria can no longer be controlled or reduced or killed by these antibiotics.
Because of the mutations.
Yes, exactly. In some cases, this can mean there are no effective treatments. Look, each year, it's more than 3 million cases of bacterial infections which are resistant to antibiotic. So this number is terrified. And in results, about 35,000 people dead every year because of antibiotics resistance. We all should remember that if we take an antibiotics, the sensitive bacteria can be eliminated, can be killed. But if these bacteria survive during antibiotic treatment, we have resistance to that antibiotic. Some antibiotics may interact with, for example, if you take any medicines or supplements, it can interact with antibiotics. The symptoms of drug interaction range from mild to life-threatening. So antibiotics also may interact with alcohol. So you should all remember that if you take an antibiotics, always avoid alcohol, because drinking alcohol while using antibiotics can decrease the effectiveness of antibiotic and increase the chance of antibiotic side effects. We have many alternatives to antibiotics. For example, herbal or bacteriophagy therapy, predatory bacteria, bacteriocins, and competitive exclusion of pathogens. Unfortunately, and it's really sad, and I'm sure that no one of these alternatives method have consistently demonstrated effectiveness compared to antibiotic treatment. I'm sure that antibiotics are really helpful and they are necessary, and no alternatives method can be so effectiveness like antibiotic treatment.
I see. And I saw that the horrifying figures which you evaluated in your research, that more than 70% of hospital-acquired bacteria strains exhibit resistance in the US. So I also read in one book, I cannot name it, but I've never noticed that whenever you, leak or just to dispose your antibiotic onto the tap or onto the sink, then you also harming the environment, and you're also producing these strains of bacteria that can that are adapted to it, and you exhibit their resistance. So what is, and let's connect it with the livestock. So, for example, in your case, do you think, was it acquired by, for example, just a minor, like you ate something with this antibiotic resistant bacteria, or this antibiotic was already in the meat you consumed, and that's why you gained this resistance? So how do you think, what is the proportion of the chances?
Look, research shows, and in the internet you can find many results, that animal production can result in antibiotic resistance infections in humans. It all depends, of course, individually on the country. In the European Union, we have legislation which is focused on use of antibiotics in animal production, and our legislation are strict. All antibiotics in the European Union must be monitored and controlled by veterinarians. Antibiotic use in animal production may represent a risk to human health. However, degree and relative impact haven't been well characterized yet. Antibiotics are used in food animals to treat clinical disease, prevent and control common disease, and to improve animal growth. And look, therapeutic, if you use in animal production therapeutic antibiotics, it's okay because you use it because you have a disease or infection in your lung or heart. But if you use antibiotic prophylactic, you prevent disease, and this is very dangerous because it increases antibiotic resistance. It is dangerous, as you told, in USA, it's a really big problem because there is if you have their farm, there is a big farm. There is so many animals, and in USA, you know, there is everything huge, and every farm is always huge. And if you give your animal prophylactic antibiotics, it is really bad because the antibiotics can stay in our environment. What does it mean? If you want to understand how antibiotic use in agriculture may impact to antibiotic resistance, you should focus on the complex interaction of many elements. For example, in the physical environment, I mean air, soil, water, and so on, with social exchanges, for example, relation between animals within a herd or flock, farmers and animals, domestic poultry, relation with migratory birds. The next one, processing steps. I mean, transportation of animals or farming activities. And the next one, human use patterns. For example, food preparation, meat consumption, and susceptibility to infection. Antibiotic use in animals have direct and indirect effects on human health. If we say about direct effects, we should remember that direct effects are those that can be causally linked to contact with antibiotic-resistant bacteria from animal production. And indirect effects are when you have contact with resistance organism, for example, with animal that is resistance or antibiotics, and have been spread to various components of the ecosystem as a result of the antibiotic use in food animals. So this is the way how antibiotic use in agriculture might impact of antibiotic resistance.
So, for example, for me as a meat lover, for example, I cook a steak or I cook like a beef soup. So after, for example, first of all, how to make soup or a steak, you have to cut meat. And of course, I believe those people from whom I buy, like the sellers and the farmers, that, oh, we don't use antibiotics while feeding this cow. But in the same time, they could, because now in my country, I don't think that there is such a strict control on farmers, especially the private ones. So for me, can the antibiotics reach my organism, for example, from like touching my mouth or touching my hair while I'm cutting the meat? For example, where does the antibiotic stay? Is it in a muscle? Is it in a bone? Or there is a special intestine for that? Because can I gain these antibiotics and therefore antibiotic resistance from, for example, just cutting my meat?
Look, we should believe that our meat is free from antibiotics. In European Union, veterinarians check meat if there is any antibiotics. And if they find that in this meat, they agreed the antibiotic, this meat should stop be produced. So it is a good way, but for us, we should believe that our meat is free from antibiotic. And for example, in Poland and European Union, more and more popular is production without antibiotics. It's hard because antibiotics sometimes are really necessary in our flock, in our flock or herd. But they are trying to do, and I know that in the USA, they always, especially in poultry production, producers, farmers, trying to do their producing without antibiotics. But I can tell you that many times when I ate meat, pork, beef, or poultry, I was thinking if in this meat is any antibiotics or any other chemical substances. So we should believe that our meat is good quality, but it's all depend on the country, because every country have their own regulations, legislation. So in Poland, if, for example, if in poultry meat will be antibiotics in this meat, all people trying to avoid poultry meat. So when producers made a mistake, then they lose so much money because people don't want to buy meat from them. So farmers and producers trying to produce meat good quality, but I know that I sometimes read many results of veterinarians, and from time to time in Poland, in some cases, antibiotics are in the meat. So maybe in our future we could have products without antibiotics.
And do you think that, for example, cooking my soup or cooking the meat and therefore frying my steak would eliminate the antibiotics in the meat? So what is like temperature resistance of antibiotics? With what temperatures they can survive and with what not?
Good hygiene of preparing meeting is always a good solution because we can damage any bacteria and some chemical substances. But I think that everything depends on what type of antibiotics was, for example, in the meat, because high temperature, I think it's good to eliminate antibiotics. But I read recent research where researcher explained to how important is what type of antibiotics can be in the meat. But many people say that good hygiene when you prepare your meat and high temperature, for example, pasteurization in high temperatures is good to lose antibiotics in your meat, or for example, in your eggs.
I see. So that's good to hear, especially for a meat lover.
But it all depends on the type of antibiotics, because I know that on the whole world there is many types of antibiotics, and it all depends on the if we have poultry products or pork product and so on, because for every animals we can use any other antibiotics. So it depends on the type. But I think if we cook good and we have good hygiene in our kitchen, it should be good also safe for loose antibiotic and any pathogens from our products.
I see. So this is connected to next question. You also, as I read, you also described the abnormalities appearing because of this kind of medicine within functions of tissues or organs that have carcinogenic and mutagenic potential and are also being noted by scientists. So in your opinion, what can a country and a government done to eliminate the increasing number of cancer cases on its territory?
Yeah, cancer disease is a serious problem. And in Poland, we have many cases when humans and also animals have cancer disease, and it's terrible for me. What country and what we can do? Of course, we should take care of our environment, because I guess that we have so many cases of cancer disease because of the fact that we live in a dangerous environment. I mean, look, we breathe polluted air, we eat food which contain chemicals, substances.
Antibiotics, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For example, antibiotics or any chemical substances. We live under constant stress. We live faster, faster, and faster. We forget to rest. There is less and less time for hobbies, relax, and we have poor sleep hygiene. I think that all factors may contribute to cancer disease. and of course smoking, addiction to alcohol and psychoactive substances, poor diet, and eating fast food all the time, sunbathing. If you exposed to sun, especially during summer, and radiation. So what we can do, what our country, what our government can do, I think education, education, and more education, because the environment where we live plays a key role in cancer disease. And of course, look, we can go to pharmacy and we can buy so many medicines. And it isn't good for us because every chemical substances for our organism can damage our organism. So if we can go to pharmacy and can buy what we want,
Yeah, any
it is
antibiotic.
good.
Any
Yeah,
antibiotic is distributed freely.
Yeah, in Poland, if you would like to take antibiotics, you can go to the doctor, and the doctor give you a recommendation and instruction and tell you how you should use the antibiotics. But if you take your antibiotics and you have, for example, 4 or 5 pills, you should throw away it. But I know people who, they took antibiotics, for example, 3 or 4 months ago, and now they are, for example, ill, they have a flu, and they use their old antibiotics. It's a big mistake. We shouldn't do it because it is dangerous for ourselves. And, it's complicated because we can say that we should care about environment, but many people should do it. If we educate them and people will know how important is safe environment, fresh air and so on, and good quality of water. If we will know, if we will learn them about it, they will be more educated, and maybe it is a good solution to avoid a cancer disease in the future.
I see. Yeah, that was a plentiful answer. Thank you. Also, one last question is about the antibiotics in milk. Because not many of people I know that I work in a veterinary clinic as a volunteer, just to study the animal medicine and how it works. So we had a discussion with one of the vets, and she said basically, well, do you know that whenever you add an antibiotic onto the diet of cattle, like a cow or birds, you know that no, I mean about the cause. Just a sec, let me formulate. Okay, so she told me, like, whenever you add antibiotic onto the diet of milk producing animals, you can, if the farmer doesn't care about the rules or very unconscious, you can receive antibiotics from this milk. So please explain this term of the length of days where the cattle cannot take an antibiotics before taking milk from them. And for our milk lovers, how to safely drink milk without any consequences of gaining antibiotic resistance?
Look, in Poland, we can't use antibiotics in prophylactic way. If you, for example, if you have 2 or 3 cows which have infection or any other disease, You can use antibiotic them, but only them. It is not allowed to give antibiotics to all herd, because it all because antibiotic resistance and so on. And if you have the ill cows in your herd, and that cows have antibiotics, then they, if you would like to take from them milk, you need to wait. You need to wait, for example, 7 or 10 days. It depends on the antibiotics and depends on the region in Poland. Because if you have ill cow and this cow takes antibiotics, you shouldn't take from her any milk. Then, when your cow finished to take antibiotics, you should test the milk. We have small tests, and every farmer have that test. Every time farmer has the test, and farmer can check if his cow is milk from this cow is safe. If you do test and this test show you that in this milk still you have antibiotics, you can't sell this milk. So
and for example, yeah, if you're buying milk from a supermarket, when it goes through pasteurization and etc., does pasteurization destroys the antibiotic?
I think that after pasteurization or sterilization should reduce or kill antibiotics from milk. But as I told you, in case of meat, it depends on the type of antibiotics. Because I know that many of antibiotics can kill by high temperature, but I show recent results that even if we use high temperature in this milk, we can find some antibiotics. But it depends on the country. For example, in Poland, I know that our product milk from a supermarket are safe, because we have so many restriction and legislation. So I believe that in every country, when you go to supermarket, you can buy a good quality animal product, even if it's milk or meat or eggs.
I see. Thank you. I personally don't tolerate milk. I don't have like a milk intolerance, but in the same time, I just cannot drink it. But I think every one of our listeners and viewers who like to drink milk and are aware that some of the antibiotics can cause allergies and cancer are now safe and yeah, can drink milk freely.
Yeah, but in case of allergy, it is if you are allergy to milk protein, or if you have lactose intolerance, you should avoid cow's milk. Because it can be dangerous for your health. But if you like taste of cow's milk and don't have a milk protein allergy or lactose intolerance, and you should drink milk, because milk is, I think it's perfect. But if you are healthy and you can drink it. The allergy to cow's milk protein most often appears in babies or young children. However, it can also occur in adults. And what is important, proteins who are allergenic for you, even after pasteurization at very high temperatures, still can be in the milk. So even if you are allergic to milk protein, and even if you pasteurization your milk, the allergenic properties of this milk still will behave. So it is really important for people who are allergic to milk protein.
I see. That's everybody who listen to us and have a lactose intolerance, note it please for yourself. But I think you know it
Yes,
already because that's such a
yes,
huge problem. I
I am
see
very
like,
happy.
yeah, I see
Uh,
many people, saying, oh, does it have a lactose in it? And whenever they eat it or accidentally take the lactose containing products, oh, they're in such a bad, in such
yeah,
a, they suffer in
I
such a bad way.
I tried some days ago. I tried milk without cow's milk without lactose,
Mhm.
and it doesn't taste well for me. It wasn't taste, so I'm very happy that I'm not allergic to milk protein, or I don't have lactose intolerance. But my sister doesn't like milk because of protein allergy.
I see.
So she avoids milk, but from time to time she tried to drink some milk because she when she was younger she liked milk, but now she is after 30, and she also suspect that she have lactose intolerance,
Mhm.
because if you are older, it is more probably that you can have lactose intolerance. So if you feel bad after milk, try to avoid milk, but from time to time you can try to drink milk. But if you still feel bad, avoid milk always. Because
I
milk
see.
is really good sources of minerals and protein and good fat and so on. But if you you are feeling bad after milk, you should avoid it. But
I see. So,
I'm happy that I can drink milk, and I really like milk products,
Mhm.
yogurts, and so on, and cheese. And so
That's
I'm
good to
happy that.
hear because I've seen in our culture and in others too that the many people say that, oh, milk is bad for you, like it washes off calcium from your organism, or it causes the allergies and etc. But I think it depends on the person, and it is good to hear from a scientist that you can drink milk, it's healthy. Because
Yes, yes.
our ancestors uh, have been drinking milk for centuries, and I don't think they faced many complications with it, like with
Exactly.
just drinking milk.
Exactly. In my country, some years ago, it was a campaign that milk is a white div. So if you
Ah,
drank milk, you can did Ariel. And
mhm.
it was very popular, this campaign, but milk producers felt very bad with that, because they recommend milk, and now some movie stars or singers say in TV that milk is bad. So it was a big problem, because milk producers I can't look. I need to translate.
What are you trying to say? It's like
um,
milk producers have to stop producing milk?
no, they didn't want to stop produce milk, and they want to government, and they went to justice.
Yeah, the
Uh,
judge.
yeah,
Yeah.
judge, and it was a fight against producers' milk, and movie stars who recommend not to drink milk, and producers of milk won't
Yeah, they
in the touch.
lost so much money. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm.
exactly. Because when you are young and you like a movie star, and this movie star tell you
Projecting some ideas onto you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
exactly. So it was very interesting when I was younger. It was in the TV, in the television, and now producers' milk is safe in Poland because after that company, there were no companies against drinking milk.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can tell you what to eat and what not to. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, of course you have to cancel sometimes, because I know that over drinking milk is also not good for you because it can cause some of the health complications, but you can drink a glass of milk in the morning. Like I in my country, even my generation, always, people who like milk, and it's like 99% here, the people I met, they always say, oh, I drink milk or eat cottage cheese in the morning, and
yeah.
and I haven't faced any complications that some of the Western companies tell us about. Yeah, that's
It's good for
I
you
absolutely agree.
because in Poland I see that so many people trying to avoid meat and milk and eggs and so on. So it's quite sad, but I understand them because you can choose what you want to eat. So I respect all decision, but for example, my sister, she needs to avoid the milk, and when she visits me, I have a problem what I should cook for her because
I
I
see.
have cheese, yogurt, and milk in my
Hmm.
fridge, so I need to think and be focused. What should I prepare for her? Because I would like to her to be healthy, so I'm trying to do some special meal for her. So it's
I
quite
see.
hard for me because
And
I can
also,
eat everything.
yeah, the part of question here, I think it's also some people think that it is cruel to take from the milk from cows, because people say that it belongs to them, so milk cannot be taken from cows. But
No,
uh, I
no.
mean, I want to like have a question from you as a scientist. I heard that if you wouldn't take a milk from the cow, it can die. So is it true? And how do you think,
No
is it
way.
cruel or not?
No
To
way.
take.
Look, we can take the milk from cows, and it is natural for cows. If that people will visit the milk farm, they would they could see that cows. For example, cows are lonely when they want to empty their udder. So
Mhm.
when they are lonely, farmer knows that it's time to go and to empty their udder. So
Mhm.
it's totally natural, and for us, for people, it is natural that we can take animal product from animals, but we should respect this animal because
Mhm.
we can take the animal products from them, and we should respect them and ensure good environmental
Mhm.
condition, and good habits and so on. So it's quite natural that we take milk from cows, really.
Because
And
I've heard from many, like, oh, how cruel are like milk drinkers. So they take the cow's milk. The cow's milk solely belongs to cow. And I was like
no,
really surprised. Like,
tell them that they should go to a milk farm and see how cows behave, and I can tell you that when the cows would like to have empty udder, they are rowdy, they're jumping, they want to, you know, have
this weight of milk off.
yes, yes, exactly. So it's quite normal. So tell them people they should go to a milk farm and show how it looks like in real life. Because some people, and it's bad, they never been on the farm and they see some theories about animal production. If you go for a farm and you see that this cow doesn't want to give the milk to producer, okay, I will agree with you. But first, go there and look and check how it looks.
I see. So let's finish this part, move to the next, our last one, and that's going to be the broad questions which would require some of your imagination. So as a scientist, what do you think is the greatest problem about climate and our battle to tackle it? Like, what's the most convoluted parts of climate change and climate crisis for you?
I think that the greatest problem is that our countries don't work together. I believe that if the countries around the world should work together, it will be better. Only when we all work together, it makes sense to protect our environment. The problem is also related to people's bad habits. I mean, every country, whether it is third world country or developed country or developing country, should educate their citizens and make them aware of how important climate change is for us and our future, because it is a good way to cooperate together. Because, you know, if one or three countries will be do something to improve our environment, and other countries don't do nothing, so it is a good way. So we should cooperate together, and all countries should work together.
I see. So yeah, what you have said about education connects it to the next question I was about to ask you. Do you think there is a lack of public education about the ways to be greener in daily life? Like looking from Poland, I think it is way more developed in like eco-friendly education than Kazakhstan and Central Asian countries are together.
Yeah, it's true. In Poland, it looks quite better according to last years. When I was younger, only at school, something our teachers taught about ecology and how to be eco-friendly, and then it stopped. But now, in television and Instagram, Facebook, many people talk about it, and they told how our companies are important to public education, because as we taught, as we said about milk companies is really important, and people will know that they have a choice, and they will immediately have examples of how they can become more ecological. It's better for them, because when you check the internet, the Instagram, and some people tell you, if you have old bananas, you can take a pancakes. In your mind, you have good ideas. Okay, I have so many old bananas, so okay, I will do pancakes. So in Poland it looks better and better, and I'm happy. And I think that public education should be more popular in all countries, because it is a good way, especially for younger people.
I see. So yeah, that's also connected to our next question. What
Mhm.
measures are undertaken in Poland to reduce climate change? And first of all, what can be done more, in your opinion? And secondly, what do you suggest to our country and our youth that listens to us now?
Mhm.
What they can do and how can they help the government, our government, to improve this public
Mhm.
education and measures?
At the beginning, I'm very happy that not only scientists tell about a problem of climate change, because I've been observing that a lot of people are organizing social campaigns and doing it for charity. Yesterday, in my town, we planted trees along the river. It was great because we wanted to help restock the rivers and enrich the ecosystem. So it was totally charity, and we wanted to help our town. In Poland, we say that trees are the lungs of our world.
Mhm.
So even I'm living in the city, in town. So there is quite numerous trees. So I'm very happy. But for example, in our capital, there is a few trees. And I know that the government trying to encourage people
Mhm.
to, for example, plant trees along the river, or building small park inside the city. So it is really good idea. In Poland is also a trend to replace diesel car with petrol cars or
Mhm.
electric car. So it is also a good idea. Swapping clothes is also popular. We're trying to avoid plastic, but it is
It is
really great.
hard task to
Yes,
do. Mhm.
exactly, but we are trying to do it. We separate our rubbish, segregation. We replace heating cookers with ecological ones in primary school, secondary, or at the university. There are classes to raise awareness of the pure ecological situation in which our world finds now.
Mhm.
The legislation is also changing for the better, and the most important thing is that we will soon give up carbon. We took carbon from Russia, and according the situation in our world, my country decided to give up carbon and be more ecological. So
So
it's a good.
you're saying Poland tries to give up the fossil fuels and to switch to greener energies.
Yes, 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 yes. Look, in Poland, we have courses at the university according to alternatives to carbon and so on.
Mhm.
But now, government will try to focus on alternatives sources of energy, but we will in the future, we will see in the future how it will be look, because I know that it's so easy, like it can use, can see, sorry. And what's more, in the case of animal production, it is really difficult to build a new livestock building. If you would like to build new livestock building, you need to do something ecology to nature. As I told you, if you would like to build a poultry building, you should, for example, plant trees on several hectares. And in Poland, it is a good way because it is a kind of compensation for our nature. In European Union, we also have a plan called Green Deal. Green Deal, it's a good solution for environment because all countries of European Union would like to be more eco, and they focus on climate change, and they would like to reduce the climate change. So it's a new program, so we will see how it will be work.
I see. So yeah, on your lectures, I remember you're saying and speaking about this Green Deal.
Yeah,
And how it is helpful for the environment. But bringing back to the question appeared in my head when you talked about the greener energies, have the Poland considered the opportunity of building nuclear plants? Because nowadays, as I see, nuclear power is the most, how to say, the most energy producing and eco-friendly technology that we have. I'm not talking about solar batteries or like wind power and water, etc. But have the Poland anyhow thought about implementing nuclear power? And
yeah,
what do you think about nuclear plants? Are they more dangerous than helpful?
Look, I'm not afraid of nuclear power. I know that many people guess that it is dangerous. Look, many years ago, about 40 years ago, in Ukraine,
Chernobyl, yeah.
yes, it was big damage in Chernobyl. So people think that nuclear
That's going to
power.
happen again, yeah.
Yes, exactly. But look, we are Poland has no nuclear power. So I guess that in the future it makes change because I'm not afraid of nuclear power, and it is really good solution. And look, many countries have nuclear power, and they are fine, and there were no tragedy and so on. So I hope that in Poland nuclear power will be in the future. Now we have, of course, wind power and sun and so on, but nuclear power is the best one from alternatives power, I guess.
Yeah, completely agree with you. I know that Kazakhstan plans to build a nuclear power plants in the near future, and I think that's going to be a great release to every citizen because I don't have you ever when you've been to Almaty, you've seen the smoke that we have above the city.
Yeah.
It's like a grayish or black color, and when we are going to have an alternative source of energy, I think the future generations that are going to be raised in Almaty are going to be safe, because by today we know that the air pollution affects the child even in the womb. So yeah, I completely agree with you. So moving to the next, what's your opinion that an average teenager think that science is boring and too difficult to work in, like the academia field? The fall is solely on teachers in secondary school, or there is another reason for such phenomenon? Like, as for you as a scientist, you see science exciting, as me too. Like this, it is fabulous. It can explain the world. But for like my peers and what I see in like the classes below me, oh, science is boring, especially physics and chemistry. How I don't know how to take these 40 minutes. So
Mhm.
as from your like more experienced part, what do you think about it?
Mm, Look, I always say that science can be not well understood, and experiments carried out under production of laboratory conditions can be not well understood. But I never say that it is hard, because
Mhm,
if you say someone, oh, physics of or math is hard,
mhm,
this person will try avoid to math or physics and so on, because someone told them or her or him that it is hard. So I always say it can be not well understood, that's all. But if you will practice and do something, it can be more understand for you, but it's not hard. And for me, science is about creating. You
mhm,
can be like a creator, and
mhm.
it will never be bored for me.
Yeah.
There is constantly something to explore. You can something new to discover. So it's so exciting. And you
What
told
about teachers? Do you think sometimes they spoil the like natural interest of children in science, and like I seen by myself, like we haven't like I haven't had an opportunity to have a very good teacher in physics. He is very good at teaching, like perfect in examination, but he's 0 out of 10 in explaining and exciting children, right? Like whenever he's explaining something, I'm falling asleep. So I think that's why I'm more into biology and chemistry, because they were
Mhm.
explained from the perspective of the real world. But the
Yeah.
physics, like, okay, the ball jumps and falls, and what's the speed or what's the velocity, and nothing else. And as for you, what do you think can be changed about teachers and education to excite more and more children onto scientific field?
Mm. It's really difficult because our future life depends on teachers. And
Mhm,
I think in my country, there is a lot to change in education and in the teaching system. So I totally agree with you. When I was younger, my ideas, when I was at school, my ideas were often criticized or ignored by teachers. In my classes, there were so many rich children.
mhm,
And when a rich child say something, it was good. But when other children say something, teachers usually ignores it. It made me think that I didn't know how to do anything, that it was better to keep quiet and not ask
mhm,
question or anything. This was a very bad attitude. Even if someone has a different opinion or is pure or rich, it doesn't have to be wrong. Look, I love when students express their opinions. I
mhm,
try to encourage them. I never say that any analyses are difficult or so as not to discourage them to start, because I believe that good motivation is essential. And I would like to know how we should change the teacher, but I don't know. At my department, I know many teachers who are expressed, who are very good motivation for students. But I also know teachers at the university who are bored at their job, maybe,
mhm,
and they don't focus on students. They just go to the classes, they say something, they finish their lectures and go out. So it is sad, and I don't know how we can change it. I
Maybe
suspect
raise
that,
their salaries. I think more
yeah,
motivated people would go in this field if the salaries would be higher.
yeah,
Because
but
I think nobody wants to intervene or like go onto the field of science education, because most often university professors and school teachers are paid very low.
yes, it's
So
true. Yes, exactly. And in Poland, school teachers nowadays they have a good salary, but teachers from the university are more purer than teachers from school. So it's sad, but you know. My chief of the department told me that if you are going to work at the university, you don't do it just for salary, you do it also for your idea,
mhm.
for your dream and so on. And I think that it's true. And if the government give me more money, I will be happy, because you know, money is always good motivation.
Mhm.
And I agree with you that better salaries uh, maybe will influence better on the teachers in school at the university. But I'm not sure if it's only one factor who would change the teacher. But I'm sad that you also have sad, sad or boring, I don't know, a teacher from physics, because maybe you would work in NASA in USA.
Yeah, I
Because you
also,
know,
you
you
know,
can,
when I was younger, like I know we all have a big dreams when we are younger. So I thought
yeah.
maybe to be like an astronaut or something
Oh,
connected to aerospace engineering, to to construct something that would go so far away from Earth, but help
yeah.
scientists to improve our knowledge about space. But then when I remember the fifth from fifth to ninth class, it was 4 years of studying physics with such a boring teacher. I thought, no, whenever I go to physics, I wanted to kill myself. Like
Mm,
really. I,
yeah.
I was falling asleep. But in the same time, I was so interested in astrophysics that we had only two or like three classes on astrophysics and how the planets work. What is theory of relativity and how does it affect like the sun and the earth? And I was running for those questions, but for those three lessons, the only lessons I
Mhm.
was interested and really listening with an open mouth in AVE. So really, really, I think that's the main problem. I switched off to environmental science because I think if I've had a really good physics teacher, I would really try to apply to NASA when I would
Wow.
get out of university. Like I'm being real here,
You know, I
because
can
I like
imagine.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. I like what NASA's laboratory do. I
Mm,
like to watch Hubble, how it works, how he spreads his wings, and etc.
wow.
So I really, I mean, it is such a dependent on a teacher, and I think
Yeah,
that's such a problem. Because I've
yeah.
seen, in Glasgow, like I'm sharing my experience. When I was sitting in a like lecturing room and I've conducted my lecture, and I was like every 5 minutes repeating, like, we have to improve science education to have more environmental scientists, to improve the climate change and etc. So um I saw many people turning their faces and like being confused because they all thought that it's all about politics. And I saw many climate activists saying unproved scientific facts. Like,
Yes.
you just confuse crowds. Like, you're 18 or 7, you're my peer, like 17-year-old, and saying like we're all going to be wiped out after 30 years. I mean, for every like scientifically, how to say, not you don't have to be like smart ass
Yes,
to
I know
smart
what you
as
mean.
to in science to understand that it is not possible. And I whenever there were speakers holding a speech and saying like, after 30 years, if you wouldn't improve anything, we would die, I wanted to stand up and say, come on, a Homo sapiens is the most adaptive species on Earth. Elon
Yeah.
Musk doing everything to bring us to Mars. We are raising millions to tackle climate change. How can you say this? It raises climate anxiety too. So many people now go to psychology just to have idea in their mind that we're not going to be wiped out after 30 years. So
Yes.
that's also a main problem. Like they children are so bored in science but are so misled with ideas. So now I think that's climate change goes to something like something dark and what we don't know.
Yes. So I totally agree with you. Yeah. And
Like
it's sad, really, because you want to do something, but sometimes you look at that people and come on, really?
yeah, and I'm not talking about flat eartheners, like people believing in
Mhm.
a flat earth, but I know personalities or personas that don't believe in plastic pollution, they don't believe in climate change, and that like with 1.5 degrees change would change completely our ecosystems. So I think that's also a lack of science education too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
have you seen some like you're done so well like master's bachelor degree, and do you have some like people that still don't believe in climate change in your field? Like you're
Yes,
in
of
such a high
course.
level in science, but
Of
are there?
course. Look, I'm
Wow.
working at the university, and there here we have some people who don't believe climate change. No, no, I don't believe it. Really.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's crazy, really.
Mind blowing.
Yes. So sometimes I'm really surprised because when you are talking to a professor and so on, you assumed that he knows something about climate change, but many people thought no, climate change, no. Or they sometimes they say climate change doesn't exist, or I don't believe in climate change. So
And what, in your opinion, what is the reason behind that? Like
I
as a
don't know.
scientist. Oh, I see.
I don't know, really. I don't know. Maybe it's all because I don't know. I don't know, really. Sometimes maybe it is a good way to find a solution, but I don't know. Sometimes I know so many well-educated people, and I think that no, I don't know what I would say. No, no,
You don't have any
stop.
idea.
It's a hard subject, hard topic, because sometimes I think that it is individual opinion, and they are very well educated, and sometimes they say something like that. So I don't know why, really.
I see. Oh, yeah. That's so funny. I think we can now move to the like short question part. Just a few questions, like short question, short answer.
Okay.
What's your main motto? What's your
I don't have one specific motto in my life. I like some mottos, and for example, it is one of the most important. You can make mistakes, only fools are never wrong.
yeah, wise one?
And it's really good. And motivation motto, for example, what you have to do later, do it now. So it's always good when I'm tired and I don't want to do anything, then I think, okay, I need to do now, not later, and get out and do it, and have a heart and look into the heart. It is deep, quite deep, but if you
Yeah.
have heart, you always look in the heart. And some motivated motto for scientists. Learning is like the infinite sea, because the more you drink, the more thirsty you are. It's like the infinite sea, because the more you drink, the more thirsty you are. So when you learn more, you want to learn more and more and more and more, because it is like infinity sea.
I see. So moving to the next, three things that you, in your life you will try to implement in this world.
I guess that in this world I have a mission. I'm trying to be in my professional and private life to fulfill. I mean, I would like people to be understanding to each other, to be kind to each other and support each other, to respect their differences. The most important thing for me is that I love when people smile thanks to me. In my classes, there's always an atmosphere of friendship, respect, and a lot of smiling, because I'm happy when I see that people feel safe and happy next to me. So it is
Implementation onto the world.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I see. That's cool. I would love to visit your classes someday, you know, like really.
Yes, look, our classes in my department are usually in Poland, a Polish language. But I'm optimistic, and I hope that in the future we would have English group. So maybe one day we can, because of pandemic, we can do online meeting, and we are open for online meeting. So maybe one day we can to connect for some classes. I have also environmental protection. So this is the course for young students, and maybe next term we can talk. But I'm not sure if they are able to understand English language, because many people in Poland are shy, and they don't want to use English language. But I hope that in the future we can connect.
What
On
we
online.
can do is to organize online classes to our crowd, because our listeners and young generation, like I can't get this percentage, but like 60 to 70% knows English to a good extent. And we should note this, that we should organize online class with you on environmental protection. That's gonna be cool. So noted.
Yes. Yes, in Poland it is a big problem because on primary school, secondary school, and high school, when I finished my master's study, I went to private lessons with English teacher, because I was afraid of my English, and I wanted to be a PhD candidate, and then I realized, oh, my English is really bad. So, but private lessons always need money.
Yeah.
So not every person can do it, can afford for it. But it was my main goal. If you want to be a doctor, you should know English. So I started to learn by my own, because in school our English lessons were bad, really.
That's also a good advice to children and youth that also dreams to having a PhD in my country, because yeah, I think becoming a PhD candidate and then doctor, I think you have to know English well, because yeah, that's a global communication now.
Yes, exactly. English language now is so important in the whole world.
Yeah. So moving to the next, what is love for environment to you? Describe like in short. I know
Yeah.
that's a very broad question. We can talk about it. We can have another podcast on it, but what's like
Yeah.
a conclusion of yours?
Look, even if I go for a walk, I'm always impressed by the beauty of nature. And I am really grateful for the breeze, the rain, the sun, the plants and animals around me. And I'm glad that the birds are singing and the flowers have started to grow with the arrival of spring. So I take something from nature as much as I can, but at the same time, I try very hard to care for the environment, and I think that it is pure love. And I can't imagine our life without trees, birds, animals, plants, and so on and so on.
I see. That's cool. That's awesome. Like enjoying nature is like one of the greatest motivations for people keeping it safe and sound. So
Yes, and
yeah, come on.
and when you go for a walk, you can turn around and you can see so many inspiring things. And nature, for me, is really inspiring.
I see. That's cool. So I think at this point we can wrap up. But my last question to you would be, is there any advice you can give to our crowd which you haven't given like during our conversation? And are there any question from your side to me?
Mm, uh, sorry, do you want to some
Yeah,
suggestions
do you
from
have
me?
question to me? Like, and is there anything you can say to our listeners and viewers, like I don't know, motivation or some advice? Is there anything you have to say to me, to our listeners?
Um, Look, as I said before, you should be open-minded, and you should open your heart.
Mhm.
And every time, if you do what you love, you can have a success sooner or later. Because if you believe in yourself and believe in your ideas, uh, go there, and don't give up when you make mistakes, because it is normal. It's one of my motto, that just only stupid people don't
Yeah.
make mistakes. Everybody can make mistakes, and don't give up. No worries when it happened to you, and try to look around yourself. Not Don't look only on yourself, but look also on other people. I mean, if you are happy, you can make other people happy.
Mhm.
If you are smiling, you can try to other people make
Mhm.
smile. So I think it is important thing, and if people feel comfortable next to you, it means you are a really good person. So try to do it every day.
I see. Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm very happy that I was invited by you, and I'm very happy that I can see you in
yeah.
my computer, in my screen. So I'm very happy that we can meet again. and I can wait when we can meet again, but maybe in real life, not only
Yeah.
and I will tell you, Diana, it's your podcast is a really good idea, and I can wait for another guest, and I will be observe your podcast because it's
Oh,
really
thank you
good
so much.
idea. Yes, so I'm very happy, and I can wait for other podcast from you as a host.
Oh, thank you so much. That, yeah, cannot express my gratefulness and how grateful I am. Thank you so much for having this discussion. I know it took almost 2.5 hours, but it was plentiful and fruitful discussion.
Oh, really? Whoa.
Oh my God. But I learned so much more, and I'm so much wiser now. And I think public that is going to watch us, I think gonna be youth going to be motivated after our discussion. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice evening. And yeah, I wish the best with your PhD, and with I wish you great science openings.
Thank you very much. And спасибо, Diana. До свидания.
О, спасибо, до свидания.